Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers this evening. As, we are closing in. What are we? How many days away now? 6, gentlemen, is that right? 6 Mecole Hardman days away?
That's right.
Seen that tweet this morning, Tim. Looked clean seeing Mecole Hardman in a Packers jersey for sure, man. Hopefully everybody had an awesome day. And, obviously we got a big holiday coming up this weekend with Easter Sunday and it being Good Friday for those who celebrate, happy Easter weekend. And if you don't, hey, appreciate you hanging out with us too. It's going to be an awesome weekend, man. We're expecting a big crowd here at the house. And usually how that happens is I grill enough food to kill an army. And then I try to disappear away from the crowd. And Mandy comes finding me and, finds me upstairs hanging out in the studio. She's mad, get downstairs, and I hide in the master suite. And she's like, hey, get out here, talk to people. So it's usually how that goes. Anyway, hopefully everybody had a great day, man. We got a bunch of stuff to jump into here. I want to give a shout out real quick to the newest Patreon members. Appreciate you guys and gals supporting the show. This is just for the month of April. Les Drops became a $3 member, went ahead and got the yearly subscription. Appreciate you. We got Michael Evans. We got Jerry Weiss Corbley, who is a $5 member. Appreciate you supporting the show. J. Cole, Robert Weber, I apologize if I mispronounced it, $5 member. What's cool about these $5 and $10 members is you don't have to do that, guys. 3 gets you everything on the site, but it's just people that want to do a little extra for the show. We greatly appreciate it. But he went ahead and paid up for the year as well. Jared Janowski. We got Paul Hepperla, another one paid up for the year. Coach Lynn in the house. We got H.E. Solder paid up for the year, $10 member. Appreciate your help there, Solder. You're the man. Andrew, well, I'm going to screw this up. Switchenberg. I hope that's right. We got Allen. That's easy enough. Just Allen. No last name, no nothing, right? We got Bearded Buck Outdoors. I think we know who that is. Probably some knucklehead on the screen right now.
There's a guy.
Pack Rob, yearly membership. Appreciate you. Clint Cosgrove, yearly membership, $10 tier. Appreciate you. And then Doug Fox becoming a $5 tier member. You guys are awesome helping support the show. And excited to give back. Obviously, we're giving away an autographed Sean Ryan rookie card tomorrow. So on the live stream, we'll put everybody's name on the wheel and spin that sucker. So,
I just wanted to add to that point. Clinton was messaging in Patreon there. He had gotten 5 more Patreon memberships, I think, as well. And he said, I was going to give it a shot and just throwing the link in the chat tonight, maybe. And seeing, I think he did YouTube, but I also think he did it in Patreon. He had told him to just try to throw the link in the chat and see if first 5 get to it, can hammer it.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. And I've got a year-long membership we need to give away too. I think I'm going to do it on X. Okay. And just go, hey, everybody who retweets this for our Patreon group, we'll put your name on the wheel, that type of thing, and give it away. So we'll figure it out. But anyway, just again, I know this has nothing to do with Packers content. I just want to make sure everybody understands how much we appreciate you guys and gals supporting the show. You're awesome. So, all right, let's dive into a couple of different topics here. First of all, let's get into the Patreon questions group here. I always love hitting these. It's a lot of fun seeing, kind of testing the pulse of everyone in the Patreon group. It's just another perk of being in there. This is, how would you say that name, Jacob? How would you say that? DEIFIC? DEIFIC?
I don't want to take a stab at that one, to be honest.
Right, don't worry about it then. All right. Really cool profile pic with the dog with the sunglasses for sure. I know it hasn't escaped you guys that tight end is potentially a sneaky need. Naturally, the talk is around the top guys as they're pretty fun this year. Here's a different angle though. Malachi.
Huh? Is it Malachi or is
I think it actually
is a name? Maybe that is a
Malachi. Maybe a typo there. Anyway, how do you say the last name? The last name.
Matavo.
Matavo. All right, close enough. From UCLA, could be interesting day 3 pick. Check out his particular scouting report. Quote, I'm convinced. Say it, Jacob.
Matavo.
There you go. I'm convinced Matavo is built for modern NFL zone-heavy passing attacks. The film shows a tight end who consistently punishes defenses that lose track of him in coverage, particularly in the UCLA-Fresno State matchup, where he worked the middle of the field like a veteran. Green Bay's offense stands out as an ideal landing spot. LaFleur's system perfectly matches how UCLA deployed him in 2024. Blocking concerns aren't going away overnight, but you're getting a 6'6" chain mover who already knows how to use his frame in the red zone. Watch his touchdown against Washington. That's NFL caliber spatial awareness against zone coverage. Give him a year to build up in his lower body strength and refine his blocking technique, and you've got yourself a legitimate tight end too with upside for more. The tight end class is loaded, and height, weight, speed specimens who are still figuring out how to play the position. Metavo's different. He's got limitations athletically, but the game tape shows a natural football player who just gets it. Put him in a zone-heavy scheme or system where he can read coverage and find soft spots, and he'll outperform his draft position by year 2. Any of y'all look at this cat. Just gave him a look. He's in the 170. He's actually in the 177 spot on our board. And, it's talking about, too, that he's kind of just one of those tape guys, right? He scored in the 6s in RAS, so obviously he doesn't get an RAS bonus there. We don't have a whole lot of information on him other than that. But you never know, man, late in the draft or maybe an undrafted free agent. This might be one of the guys that LaFleur looks into here. Now let's move on to Chris N. Love how he always puts it. What do you call these guys? Are these GIFs, emojis? What is this?
Jiffies.
Yeah.
GIF.
Really quickly, just to Metavo, 99 overall season 6 card that you can buy with trophies now.
Oh
and
God,
I mean, he's a blocking. It says he can block on college football, so I might need to pick him up.
Hey, real quick, whatever his name is, Maliki or Maliki Laka. Metavo is
Maliki, yeah.
Maliki. It says Metavo's an outstanding mover at 6'5", 265 pounds, which allows him to separate 91st percentile separation rate in 2024 and produce after the catch 7 yards after the catch in 2024, which was the 78th percentile. Did not grade well with PFF, which is interesting, but he's only 22 flat and he's 6'6", 263. I don't know. It's interesting there if he's a blocker. Can he block, Emilio?
According to college football, he can.
Can he block, Emilio?
While he's flashed as a run blocker, he's very hot and cold in that aspect. He projects as a TE2 with a ceiling worth betting on somewhere on day 3.
Thank you.
There you go. All right, Chris in the Patreon questions. Why the heck haven't the Packers had a top 30 visit on Jaden Higgins? I think Tim might have hacked Chris in here. They're starting to make me nervous. No Senior Bowl, no top 30, and technically no threshold. Maybe he's not even on Goot's board. It doesn't mean he's not on his board, Chris. I think he's on his board, and I think he's probably pretty high. But you make a great point, man. When you look at tendencies, I'll tell you this. He probably would have fit one of 3 draft picks from last year, right, that didn't meet that criteria. It's just the majority of the guys that they draft seem to fall in Senior Bowl. Top 30 is a pretty good chunk, and obviously the athletic threshold. Now, in terms of the athletic threshold, it wasn't that he didn't meet it. It was just incomplete, if I remember correctly. So, and again, he should have the hearts next to him.
He does have the hearts. And he also has a -5 RAS.
Yeah, so he's meeting the threshold, Chris. There's no doubt about it. Now, again, incomplete RAS doesn't necessarily mean that Goody won't take him. I know there's some people that say that Goody has never taken someone with an incomplete RAS. I don't think that's true. I'm sure you can find a draft pick or two that Goody has taken that did not have a complete RAS card. It doesn't mean that they didn't get the answers to the questions, with an in-house visit or something like that as well, or maybe meeting somewhere else. So anyway, though, Higgins, though, I think he's on the board. What do you guys think? I mean, there's no way that Goody does not have him on his board, right?
I feel like he's one of those cases where he knows everything he needs to know. Like he's seen it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or he's using those 30 visits, the top 30 visits, to find out differences in players where he's on the fence about. If this is just my opinion, I think that he looks at Jaden Higgins and goes, I know exactly what I got in him, what could be there. I don't need to see any more other than if he falls to us, then that kind of thing. What do you think, Tim? Come on, Tim.
I think it would be foolish to think that he's not on Goody's board. I mean, I think he's on a lot of people's boards, but it could also be a scenario like we mentioned the other night. Maybe he did have a top 30 visit and we don't know it. It does happen. You can find out after the fact. So I don't know, man. I think either way, it's still a 50-50 shot if we go receiver in this draft, which I believe we will, if Higgins is even on the board available to be picked. So I don't see us reaching for him in the first round, and there's no guarantees that he's there with our second round pick. So I would agree with your statement. I think a lot of us kind of know what we're getting with Jaden Higgins, if you've done any kind of research on him at all. And I'm sure Goody and the scouting department has done a hell of a lot more than I have. So I think everybody kind of knows what we're getting right now. And incomplete RAS is not crazy to me.
Yeah. And I did reach out to Easton Butler earlier today. We were chatting back and forth, and I just asked him, if my count's correct, we're sitting at 25 in top 30 visits. You think we'll get wind of any others or keeping them under wraps based off your past experience? He said last year we got to 29, with the 29th coming day 3 of the draft. I bet 1 or 2 more will come out by Wednesday. So probably get to maybe 27 or 28 by Wednesday by the time we touch down in Green Bay. So we'll definitely check that out and keep our eye on those top 30 visits, as they're absolutely huge. So again, hearing Wildy and Tausch talk about the high percentage of prospects that they actually draft that they did top 30 visits with, has pretty much put to bed this whole, folklore that GMs are wasting those top 30 visits on trying to throw a smoke screen. They're just too valuable for sure. So
Yep.
John Schmidt in the chat says a lot of top 30 visits this year scream medical questions, and Higgins is sort of what you get what you see. I think that's a great point, John.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. It's exactly what Jacob was saying there.
Yep.
All right. Jordan Love actually talked about a wide receiver earlier today. He was asked, Pterodactyl, get out of here. Oh, I caught it, man. That was Mr. Miyagi stuff right there. You kidding me? Wax on, wax off. So Jordan Love was talking about a receiver. He was, not that kind of wax. Jacob, calm down. Jordan Love was talking. He was asked by Kay Adams earlier today. If you'll give me a screen grab, Tim. He was asked about Jalen Royals, who played for his alma mater there, Utah State. So let's take a listen at what Jordan Love had to say about Jalen Royals.
So if you're not texting Goody, are you just like leaving DVDs of Jalen Royals around places, like in the training room, at his desk? Like, let's be honest, but come on now.
I think being from Utah State myself, having a receiver like Jalen Royal that, has came out, has made a name for himself, I think they've watched plenty of tape on him and probably already know that I would definitely take a fellow Aggie myself. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see where he ends up.
Goody, do the right thing. 4.3240. Let's go. School record, 15 touchdowns in 2023.
Hey, Kay Adams, boys, I'm telling you, she was the one leading the charge with Xavier McKinney there to Green Bay. So don't be surprised if Jalen Royals ends up being a Packer. Emilio, do you got him pulled up on the board by chance, man?
That actually would have been a really good idea.
I'll do it right now. I got it right now. I'll put it on.
I got him. Hold on 2 seconds here.
I like Kay. I was just going to say that. Go on.
I bet you do like Kay.
I'm just saying, she seems like a nice lady.
She's a nice lady. Nice lady. Let's see here. Jalen Royals, right? Yeah, man, this is it's looking like a pretty good fit here. Boys, the only thing he's lacking is a top 30 visit. Emilio, you seeing this here in the 73 spot on our big board?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a perfect fit. It's right around where all the other wide receivers are. Jack Besh, a little bit past, Higgins, right next to A. Manor. I think that there's just a window there in probably around the third where, if you're going to take the pull of that wide receiver, there's still a really nice cluster there if you got squared away in the first and second round.
Yeah. Senior Bowl participant, captain of Utah State. Packers met with him early, probably at the Senior Bowl, and then he had the threshold there as well. Like we said, 9+ RAS running a 4.340. Tim, man, there's a lot to like about Jalen Royals, man. That might be a pick that we're overlooking, dude.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the concerns that a lot of us have with Rome, his whole situation with, multiple concussions and, we don't know what his availability is going to be like. Hopefully he's 100% healthy all year for us. But if you had any thought in your mind that Romeo Doubs may not be a Packer in the near future, then you definitely want to draft a guy like Jalen Royals. As big of a Jaden Higgins fan as I am, Jalen Royals stood out to me as well. And it's not just because of the the ties to Jordan and Utah State and all of that. That's all fine and dandy. But can the guy ball? The guy can ball. He's not the most athletic, freak on earth or anything, but he's a damn good receiver and someone that should definitely be on everybody's radar right now.
Which filter do you want hit there, Amelia?
The tier 1.
Tier. Oh, okay, gotcha. Let's look at it here. So we're going to group it by tier here, gang, and let's see where we've got him at. Let's see here. So yeah, when you look at the tiers in tier 65, and again we go in increments of 5 on our scoring. In the same tier, you've got Jackson Dart in the 72 spot, Jalen Royals in the 73 spot, Wyatt Malum at 74. Ellick Ayamaner at 75. Then you got Kevin Winston Jr., safety out of Penn State. You got Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker out of South Carolina at 77, and then Charles Grant at 78. So this is a perfect example of if all these players are available, right, in this one tier, who would you take? You got to find your cluster buster, right? I like to go by need and make sure that they're meeting the thresholds, the things that Goody likes. Now, when you look at the emojis, Jalen Royal pops off the page, does he not? He's got more emojis here. He's got the captain, like we said, Senior Bowl captain, met with the Packers and the threshold. He's got more than anybody else in this tier. That seems like the Packer pick there, Jacob, in that tier 65, man.
I mean, Jalen Royals is a guy. I actually had a conversation with him with a listener today who approached me at work and was like, "Hey, man, what do you think if he listed 3 players? He's like, which one of them do you think they're all going to make it out of the first?" And I told him, no, I don't. But then he asked, he goes, "What about this Jalen Royals?" He goes, "Every time I look somebody up, I feel like Jalen Royals just screams like he's a Packer." Yep. And I was like, yeah, I said, I got to be honest. I see the same thing. And then he brought up the Jordan Love comparisons. And by the way, shout out T Spence. What up? What up, T Spence, listener? Actually, do you guys have listeners that come and talk to you? Have you met them in person?
I actually had someone. I had someone at my house today, a close friend of Mandy and her husband were here, and he told me, "Yeah, man, I was talking to a guy. I got a buddy that's a big Packer fan, and he was like, yeah, man, he was showing me some tweets and talking about a podcast, and he was like, yeah, I know that dude. We were actually at his wedding. Mandy helped put their wedding together over in North Carolina. Remember when I was at the house, Emilio, right?
Yep.
Sillen fan. That was that wedding. But anyway, he was like, yeah, it was just weird. Like this dude, I just met this guy this past year, right, at their wedding, and he's got a buddy in Virginia, just up the road. We're kind of close to the Virginia line, so yeah, that's happened to me.
That's awesome. Not to me. No, sir.
Although we did have a listener in Maryville for a while, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But anyways, he brought up Jalen Royals, and I agreed completely. And then when I actually looked at him on film, looked at how he graded out just recently, the fit he could possibly break, it just seems more and more like a really, really good fit, like a puzzle piece type fit. It's like him and Jack Besh and a few of the other mid-rounders. I've started to really think like that just, the Packers and the second, third, fourth round wide receivers, it just seems like a match made in heaven.
This kind of looks like a Jaden Reed all over again. 2023 is the numbers you want to look at. That was his best year. 1,000-yard season, targeted almost 100 times, 15 tutters. I mean, monster. My question is the lack of games played in 2024. Do we have any injury on him at all? He only played 7 games last year.
That's interesting. Yeah, we need to do that. We need to do a little research on that for sure. So, yeah. Mike Hebring with the super chat. Love Royals as a second-round wide receiver drafted by Gootman Goot can hit on those second-rounders. And, it's closing in on that ballpark for us, Mike. I mean, he's in the 74 spot, which put him, basically 10 spots away from the second round. And essentially, if he was one tier higher here, that would put him right in the ballpark of a second-round talent, according to our board. Right. So,
Tim, that's honestly crazy you said that. You talked about how good he was in 2023, and I agree. He had over 1,000 yards rushing on 13 games. But in 2024, slightly upgraded his overall PFF grade. Only playing 7 games, though. He almost hit 1,000. He had 839 yards on only 7 games, averaging over 15.3. You know what I'm saying? Like
less targets, less games. Yeah,
he was on pace to absolutely shatter that. He'd be around 1,500 yards, but like we said, something must have happened there.
Even looking at 2022, he played 7 games in 2022 and had no numbers. 4 targets. Are you guys seeing that? So I'm
Yeah.
wondering what if anything is there, if he's dealing with some kind of off
Tim,
and on egging thing,
throw that on our text thread, and we'll get that information tonight for sure. Because that's very important. If there was an injury, we want to know about it for sure. Now, obviously, he's healthy now. He just ran a 4.340 at the combine.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
good to go there. But still, it's nice to know that's why maybe he dropped a little bit and didn't continue to improve. There was an injury there. So, makes sense.
On
Again,
a quick
Mike,
search, it said that there was a foot injury and he'd missed the rest of the season.
got it.
Mm,
So now the question is, knowing that he just ran a 4.340 after having a foot injury, I think we all agree he's healthy, right? So
Does that dictate a red box though?
to me, the red box is, hey, beware injury concern.
yeah, he's hurt.
Yeah. That's the way I
would
look at it.
agree. I think there's probably little to no concern then if he's.
Can you make it light pink?
Jacob, if we did that, everybody would be light pink because everybody got
all
hurt
right,
at one
fine.
point or another.
That's true.
So, to me, I want it to be a red flag. Like Benjamin Morrison, listen, he's not been able to compete. He's not been able to do anything, in terms of like measurements and things like that, running at the combine and stuff because of that hip injury. Want to know about it, right? Want to know about it. And then when you look at someone, it's like there's no grade at all. Leave that in the red box so we know injury is the reason there was no grade, that type of thing. So that's kind of what we tried to keep it reserved for. If that makes sense. So, all right. Again, Mike, thank you for that super chat, buddy. Anything else you want to look at on the board here in terms of tiers, Emilio? I know it was your idea to pull it up here. Is there something you want to take a glance at maybe? Or
No, I just like searching with it now just because it kind of it gives a visual break, one, for the horizontal, but then two, you really do kind of see your clusters. I know DJ was talking, he's been asking, I forgot how he worded it, but like if all else fails, like if everybody's gone that you had planned, what's your fail safe? What's that going to be in each round? I think that's, I think that's just something maybe to keep in mind. Hey, if everybody else fails, who are you pulling the trigger on? Like, hey, second round, Mason Taylor, if he's still there, get that tight end that's just a sturdy guy, reliable, you know what you're going to get, type thing.
Dude, I heard Daniel Jeremiah today on one of his podcasts where he takes just like a plethora of calls.
Yep. Love that one.
It's really good. It was the newest one he'd done for. Do you actually entertain that? Oh,
I
man.
do.
Anyways, real quick.
Question. Do you have Austin Brinkman on your board? We do, sir. He's actually in the 454 spot, long snapper out of Virginia or West Virginia, Senior Bowl participant. Go ahead, Jake.
No, we're doing the Lord's work here, Tua, for this. All right. Don't put nothing past us. But he was talking about how Mason Taylor could be the steal of the draft kind of thing. Like the pedigree he comes from, where he played, the measurements, all that kind of stuff. And the fact that he maybe had a little bit of like some adversity where he didn't even really get his name out there as much as a lot of the other tight end. This is as much as the tight end draft where Kraft and Musgrave went, this is a really deep tight end draft. So
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to hear Daniel also talk about like Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. And when I looked at him, I'm like, damn. And then you guys know how much I love Gadsden and Fanning. And you look at guys even like Gunner, it's a bunch of different types, a bunch of them. It's an interesting draft for tight end. I'd be surprised if Goody doesn't pull the trigger on one of these types.
Yeah, Mason Taylor sitting in the 42 spot, Senior Bowl participant, meets the athletic threshold. You notice every box has got something in it. Senior Bowl, he really stood out. RAS is 8+. Greg Cosell got a 3-point bonus there.
That's what it was. I think it was for his first round, like fail safe. If everybody that you had planned is gone, I mean, on 42nd on our board, he's gone in the second, but I'm taking him in the first because I know what I'm going to get.
Yeah, and that tier 40 there too, guys, with a grade of 40 to 44.9, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 or 9 players in that tier, 2 of which are gold, and both have the spade. That's TJ Sanders with a grade of 40.7 leading that whole tier, and then Trey Amos rounding out that tier with a 43.4.
That's a great point, Clay. What if that is Goody's failsafe? What if those two are his failsafe on, hey, if something messes up, if we don't get who we like in the first 20 picks, here's our fail-safes.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard Ryan talking about TJ Sanders earlier today. He turned on the tape and was like, oh my gosh, he's a lot of fun to watch. If you guys get a chance, go check him out. TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. For sure. One of those dudes that wanted to play basketball, if I remember correctly. He wanted to play basketball, was way better at football, wasn't really motivated when he first started playing football. And then his coaches talked about how he went from a guy who was always late to meetings to leading the charge and became a leader on the team. It's kind of cool to see him embrace that. So I like to hear those stories. That's stuff that Dane Brugler is really good about, improving in his scouting information. So, yeah, when you look at the rest of the tiers here, like if we go up to the top and go, okay, when the Packers pick at 23, let's say the board falls or the picks fall exactly how our board falls, then we're going to miss out on Shamar Stewart and Walter Nolan, right? Because they're in the 15 spot and the 19 spot. So in the tier where we would be picking, you probably have Michael Williams, Emeka Egbuka, Jihad Campbell, Malachi Starks, Josh Simmons, and Derek Harmon. If you had to pick from those, looking at the emojis, right, the ones that kind of pique our interest the most, it's definitely Emeka Egbuka. The only thing he's missing from being a gold and a spade is just a Senior Bowl. He was not a Senior Bowl participant, right? But he's a captain. Packers met with him. Top 30 visit. Also meets the athletic threshold. Checks a lot of the boxes there. When I look at that grouping there, guys, if I had to put money on who they would take there, just going off the emojis, it would be Emeka Egbuka or Josh Simmons. They're the ones that have the most kind of – that's what really pops off off the screen there. But Emeka Egbuka probably my top pick. If I was picking, I would go with Emeka Egbuka, then Michael Williams, then maybe Derek Harmon is the order I would go. What order would you go in there, Tim? You're gonna be doing a mock draft here in a little bit, man. Let's do a little mini mock here. I'm gonna name them off again here. You tell me who's the one you would rather have first and foremost out of this group. Considering they're in the same tier, let's just say you get the same draft grade on them, right? Michael Williams, edge defender out of Georgia. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama. Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Or Derek Harmon, D tackle out of Oregon.
I'd probably go, not to be boring, but I'd probably go Egbuka first, and then I'd go Derek Harmon after him. That'd be my top two.
What about you, Jacob?
I think I'd go Egbuka first and then Michael Williams.
All right. What about you, Emilio?
It's got to be, top tier position. I think I would probably have to go. I'd probably have to go Josh Simmons, Michael, because
God bless you.
The most important thing is to protect Jordan Love. If you can find a star tackle and have him cheap for 4 years, and Rasheed Walker's got to head out the door, so be it. One of the stats is like Rasheed giving up, 34 pressures or whatever, and it's like, hey, if we can find a tackle to replace that, and then edge rushers, the second probably most expensive tier that we're gonna have to follow up with 4 years down the road. So if you can get one, and DJ likes Michael, so
I like Michael a lot. Josh Simmons, I know Jacob gags every time we mention Josh Simmons. This dude, captain, athletic threshold. Packers met with him twice now, including a top 30 visit. All I say is go back and watch the Eagles game. Go back and watch the Eagles game and go, damn, how did we get beat so bad? Right?
No, that's fine. I just hope Amelia knows that Josh Simmons is going to personally pack Travis Glover's bags and send him up.
No,
he will lovingly wrap his knickknacks and.
I don't think so. I think Glover's here to stay, and they would both help Rasheed if needed. Pack some up and head out. But honestly, my question is the Ohio State guys were passing because of their late playoff run on the Senior Bowl. Is that something that we need to look into? Is that something that we need to take into consideration? That they're all most or all of the Ohio State guys passed on the Senior Bowl because of their late playoff run.
I don't know, dude. That's
a
tough
question.
One.
It's a good question.
We'll think about it. We don't have to decide right now, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right, real quick. Prince has a great scenario here. He goes, if Simmons, Zabel, and Connerly are all there at 23, which one are you picking? I assume he means you have to pick one of the three.
If Josh Simmons' knee checks out at the top 30 visit and they go nothing there, we're good to go. Hands down, it's Josh Simmons. It's not even close. This dude was supposed to be the top tackle in the draft before the knee injury. Now, if us not knowing whether the knee checks out or not, I can't honestly answer that question. You know what I mean? I can't say, I would definitely take Zabel over him, not knowing if the knee's healthy or not. Now, if you're telling me, no, there's still problems with the knees, take Josh Simmons off the board in terms of the first round pick. You might still take him in the second or third and let him get healthy. And then at that point, according to the board, it would be Josh Connerly. But we got Gray Zabel significantly lower. We got him down here. How many tiers is that now? 3-4 tiers down?
Yeah.
In tier 40. So again, Senior Bowl captain and athletic threshold, though. It's not like Gray Zabel's a bad football player. There's just, when you look at how far he is down on our board in the 40 spot, he's got all the boxes checked, right? And you immediately go North Dakota State, small school, not that good of, competition. Well, what did he do in the Senior Bowl? He just went out there and kicked ass. That's all. So Gray Zabel's an interesting prospect.
I love Gray Zabel. The chats kind of seems like they're pretty pro Zabel right here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because of that versatility and just the fact of the being scared about an injury. That's my mindset. Is I'm gun shy from any type of injury, and I love guys that are versatile. And he can, like we talked about a few episodes ago, he could play anywhere on that line.
If Goody were to pull the trigger on Gray Zabel at 23, right, or maybe trade back to like 30 and take Gray Zabel, something like that. If you take Gray Zabel, now you got to go, all right, maybe Gray Zabel competes for a starting job there, right? Now all of a sudden your offensive line, which was a weakness against the Eagles in the playoffs, becomes a strength because you got Jordan Morgan back, your first round pick, and he'll be healthy now. And then you've got someone who's going to be competing for a starting job there at right guard. And if he beats Jordan Morgan out, then you got literally first-round talent on the bench ready to come in, and one that played left tackle his entire career through high school and college.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but doesn't that kind of make the most like the chess move sense? Is if there's other players that are more valuable to Goody at 23, then that's one thing. But if the board falls a certain way and he sees a guy like, let's say it's Zabel or even a Connerly or whatever, and he knows for sure that I can plug this guy into either, let's say, right guard or left tackle, or even center if it's a guy like Zabel, which then frees up Elton to go back to a guard position. Like you just talked about, Clayton, all of a sudden that quote-unquote weakness we have is studs with a couple of solid backups. To me, that's like worth maybe the quote-unquote reach in the first round. But how would you see that the same way, or would you see it as more of just a reach?
I don't know, man. I mean, to me, it's really, really simple. What does the board say? That's why we create this board. And you could use the PFF big board. And when you use the PFF big board, I don't like PFF. Okay, cool. Well, let's also incorporate the consensus big board. I don't like the consensus big board. Okay, let's include Daniel Jeremiah, former NFL scout. Well, I don't think Daniel Jeremiah's got all the answers. Let's use Kyle Krabs at the 33rd team. He's the draft specialist over there. Well, I'm not a big Kyle Krabs fan. Let's use Dane Brugler with the Beast draft guy. That's why I like approaching it this way, because over the years, I got tired of hearing people bitch and moan. And I'm like, Bub, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where you're going. And like the folks that speak definitively, this guy's a first round pick. Oh, that guy will go here. And then when they get it wrong every single year, you never hear from them again. So it's like, I like to take all of it, put it into a pot. So to answer your question, Jacob, it's really simple. What's the board say to do? That's how it is for me. And if there's an injury, you better have an answer. If that injury is legit or if it's still an issue or not. That's kind of how I see it. I know it's a boring answer, but it's really that simple. The other day, Jason Wilde was talking on his program about the time that Ted Thompson turned away from the microphone because they were going, you always say you're going to take best player available, but it's obvious you're drafting by need. And they said Ted Thompson turned away from the mic, or they couldn't even hear him. And he's just talking to the people in the room. He's like, pretend this is our draft board. We got the positions listed horizontally across the top, right? And then they're put down in the order of their grades, first round talent, second round talent, however you use your grading system, right? So when it comes your pick and you've got a number of players on the board with the same grade, whether it's a first round talent, early first, late first, whatever, however your grading system works, and you got a cluster of guys and you got a need at that position, you're going to go by need at that cluster. And I guarantee you that there were some of the media members that probably went right over their head, but there was others that went, oh, so yeah, you're still drafting best available because you got guys with a similar grade. Now we're weirdo freaks and we take it to a 10th of a point and then do it in 5-point tiers. So you could technically go, this guy's better, but that's why we like to do the tiers. That way it's all right. You can see these guys are in the same range, right? You probably could go position of need in that specific.
Well, plus, and we joke about the emojis, but that is enough sometimes if it's within a freaking percentile, you know what I mean? A fraction of a fraction. It's like, well, that's the extra nudge. Like it's,
right.
it's I like what Emilio did there. I don't care. Again, I don't care what everybody says about you, dude.
Everybody says.
I appreciate that. Jake.
Even at your school on Thursday nights, I heard they say that. It's weird.
They messaged us last time.
They did.
This guy is obnoxious.
Unbelievable.
It works. Which, by the way, Mandy, Tim, we got to get on the chat there. Mandy's getting some cannolis lined up. She may be able to have those delivered to your house. And she said, Clayton, these are Ferrera cannolis. If you guys don't know what that is, like they've got a place. We went in Little Italy. They told me that's how you say it. It's Italy. It's not Italy. All right. They let me know that real quick. It's Little Italy. In Manhattan, they got a shop down there with pastries and stuff. So evidently they ship them into, I think, Costco, Tim. So, because I told her, I said, listen, I'm all about spending money on an event, but that seems awful expensive for some cannolis. She said, oh, let me tell you what they are. You remember that little pastry shop that I dragged you into, kicking and screaming? And you came out of there going, damn, that was good. It's those people that make it. Anyway, that's pretty much been the last 25 years of my life with Mandy. Anything good that's happened in my life, she forced me to try it. And I went, hey, it's not bad. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. So that's the way it works. All right, let's get into it. Anything else you guys want to talk about on the board? I think this is a good conversation, though, just talking about how the tiers lay.
Yes, for those in Patreon, there's an updated board as of like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, man, look at Emilio. Good stuff. Just another perk of being in a Patreon group. You got access to this board. And many people were getting in there going, how do you operate this thing? Just message us in there and we'll explain it. He put a new legend on the screen there. You can see here to the right. It's probably at the top, right, Emilio?
Yeah.
If you guys aren't in the Patreon group, I don't know what you've been doing. Personally, I've been in there for 12 to 13 hours now, and I can tell you, my life it's gotten better.
It's better.
Yeah. There you go. What a promotion. Look at Jacob, man. big company guy over here. All right, let's get into an article we wrote here. Cannoli deliberately coming to my house. Stop it. What world am I living in? Hey, listen. You don't get this double chin on my noggin by playing games, Mrs. Green. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know how to eat. There's very few things I know how to do in life, but I know how to find some good food, and I am willing to overpay every single time.
Thick.
As I once told a friend, food is the only reason I don't do drugs. That's what I said, and he just thought that was hilarious. So it was actually Eric Emilio. He was like, did you just say food is the only reason? No, you like. Yeah, no, it's the only reason I don't do drugs. I promise you. So, all right, don't do drugs, kids. It's bad, okay? Now, put this together. I thought this was neat. Tom Pelissero wrote an article, and I went through and kind of grabbed the cliff notes, so all the credit goes to him. Go check out the full article. Kind of wordy. I love that you could take AI and really just kind of break things down into a very smaller portion where you can actually understand what it's saying and get the important points in it. But the article here is titled 2025 NFL Draft, the most unpredictable first round in years. So here's some of the points that Tom Pelissero made. It's just basically the overview from him. The 2025 NFL Draft is expected to be highly unpredictable, fewer players receiving first-round grades compared to a typical year, which is typically 18 to 22 players. Okay, this year it said a team executive noted little difference between players ranked from 10 to 40. Early on in the process, Emilio, way early, Daniel Jeremiah said 20 to 60, didn't he, if I remember correctly? I think that was the number he used. So this executive said 10 to 40. And what that means is you've got 10 prospects that are at the top of the board, right? And then from 11 to 40 or 11 to 39, however you want to look at it, those guys are kind of closely graded together. I guarantee you they got them separated deeper than that. But that's kind of how this lays out, which would suggest, as we said early on, if after 10 everybody's kind of the same, trade back a couple times, get multiple swings in that little sweet spot there, right? So 5, I don't even want to look. And I made a joke about drugs, and I didn't tell them what's going on.
Hold on, wait. Just, you think smoking drugs is cool? You think doing alcohol is cool? Michael Scott.
Was that when he was talking to Scott Stotts?
Yes. No. Was it
different?
I think it's a different one.
All right, 5 potential surprise first-round picks. This is Tom Pelissero, what he's hearing, reading the tea leaves, right? Carson Schweisinger out of UCLA. We've got him in the 54 spot, but he's hearing he may be a first-round pick. Former walk-on, led the FBS with 90 solo tackles. He was the Butkus Award finalist. Strengths are speed, coverage, 3-down ability, instincts, and character. Could be targeted by teams needing an off-ball linebacker late in round 1. What do you guys think about that, man? He's 54 on our board. And again, our board is very safe. It's very, hey, the guys who performed multiple years and over about 5 different sources that we just named off, they all agree this dude should be high, as opposed to, 1 or 2 love him. They're going to drop on our board a little bit. So what do you think?
You know, it's crazy. Emilio, I think maybe, I don't know if you told me this or maybe one of Clay did, but it was a recent Ross Tucker episode. And he was talking about how there was a guy named, I think it was Kane Medrano, who everybody was so high on going into the beginning of the season. And Ross Tucker was one of the few games that he actually got to call. He said he called it, and nobody talked about Carson Schweichlinger. It was like, it was a non-existent type of player. And then as the season progressed, Kane kind of fell off, and all of a sudden every single pregame people started talking about Carson Schweichlinger and just the way that how he was so fluid and the weird instincts and the way that it just was kind of effortless at times, being able to avoid blockers, being able to take on blockers if they do get to him, all that kind of stuff. Cam Medrano now, like, he's fallen completely out of the realm, right? I mean, he's maybe a UDFA type prospect. Where do you guys first have him, and then where do you have Carson?
Kane Medrano. I think I just did something.
Kane is 288 on our board. 269 currently on PFF's board. So I mean, he really did fall out. But I do remember that pod. He was talking. He's like, yeah, they were all hyped up about Kane, and then who is this guy? Who is this 49 guy? Like, I mean, and he really did just take off.
What's the Dane Brugler number on him? I want to say it's really low. Emilio,
Kane?
What is it?
On Kane.
Yeah, Kane.
He's 128.
128. So that's somewhere, a 5th rounder, I believe?
Yep.
So he's got like a 5th round talent on him, Jacob. So there you go. So again, Carson Schweichlinger is a name to look for. Tim, would you be okay if Goody had a 1st round grade on Carson Schweichlinger to go, yeah, I'll take him with the 23rd pick, or does that sound just absolutely insane, man?
It wouldn't be my first choice, but I don't think it's
probably wouldn't be my 3rd choice.
I've heard even more insane suggestions than going with a prospect like this. But no, yeah, I wouldn't take him at 23.
Yeah, I'm with
he
you.
Also only had 1 year. Like, he only has 1 year of PFF grades, because his other 2 in 23 he played 17 snaps with a 54.9, and 23 he did that, and in 22 he had 84 snaps at a 63.7.
Perfect example of why he's a little lower on our board, because again, we want those dudes that. Now let me give you an example though of, that's the pro of our board. Like, hey, it's safe proof in that regard, right? You're going to get the more consistent player higher on our board. But the con in it, last year, Edgerrin Cooper balled out for 1 year, right? I mean, he was dominant. The year before brung him down a little bit on our board, I think into the 40s, I believe. And he ended up being, now, obviously, Goody took him right around where we thought he'd probably be taken, somewhere in that range. But still, hindsight being 2020, I think everybody would look up and go, Edgerrin Cooper, the best linebacker in the draft last year. Probably worthy of a 1st round pick if other GMs had an opportunity to go back and redraft. So next on the list, looky here, boys, in the 21 spot, Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, slot receiver with a score record, 205 catches, 2,868 yards, 24 touchdowns in 50 games. You see that slot receiver? That's Tom Pelissero talking. Obviously, Jacob had to go there. But like Greg Cosell talked about over and over and over, you got a guy who can play moving Z and really, really fits into a Sean McVay type offense, a wide receiver that can kind of play all over the place. Durable. He missed only 3 games throughout his entire career, I believe that was. Explosive, compared favorably to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was a 2023 1st rounder as well, likely to be a 1st round pick. We've talked about Emeka Egbuka a lot. I want to go around the horn to see if anybody else's opinion has changed. But before we do that, that's going to do it for hour 1. So everybody listening on the pod, we will continue this conversation with Emeka Egbuka into hour 2. We appreciate y'all.